Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
cuts so fast.
Uh-huh. Come this way here. A little bit more there.
Kind of in line with the blade.
It was Steve that did it, but it was Colm that made me the donut.
Oh,
I can't remember Colm's last name.
linen
You
brink.
can cut your string
Yeah,
that
linen
fast with it.
Linen brink.
There you go, yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
his
called the
donut
crumb
cutters are
cutter.
Amazing.
Brandon Anthony made that for me,
Let's see.
and I wouldn't be without it. I mean, I've laid hides on tables and got my draw knife out, and I've cut like that, and I've cut with a big old knife, just cut an inch or inch and a half soga. And this is the quickest, most uniform way of cutting rawhide that I've ever found. The only thing you gotta remember, we are in the coaster business, which we got right, just keep going, we're in the coaster business. So if we want to, we can go down to Tractor Supply and peddle this to them for coasters. And it's what I do at the house, is I save all those like that so I can keep count of how many hides I cut up and all that. And it's what I'll do is I'll do like he's doing there, is I'll cut it up. I mean, I'll haul it up into soga. And a lot of times I'll go out the fence and just let it hang and dry. And when I hang it, I let it dip down about 2 foot. And when I go back out there the next morning, it's up pretty straight, and it'll shorten itself up and everything. And on button string, I don't hang it, but if I'm going to braid around, like for a set of reins or something like that, I'll hang it. That's kind of what I do.
One more trick you can do right here. You can take a fishing swivel
You bet.
and put it in the end and then
Right.
hook it, and then when you're coiling it, it'll spin
You
and you don't fight it, especially when you got
that's a good trick.
1,500 feet of string.
Yeah.
My house has a big long hallway like this building, so back on the bedroom door, that swivel hangs, and I put it back there when I,
Good.
working inside.
Yep. You can get a fishing swivel to hook the other end to, and it'll sit there and it'll spin and all that. Now he's gonna run it through a splitter here in just a minute. He'll drop it on the inside. He's gonna wind up recoiling it.
How thin do you want to go on it? You want to take
I
it
just
off
knock.
just a
I would
little bit?
just knock the.
Just knock that top layer off.
Yeah.
My stone wheel has my sharpener, so that just like polishing agent on it, and it holds the knife like you can.
I bet it would, yeah. That's a good idea.
Take it off a little bit at a time next time too. I tried setting it to where that thin.
Well, it's pretty consistent. It's about 1.31 millimeters. Is how, I mean.
Is that how thin you want to go with it?
Well, that's. I mean, I don't know. Well, that's about what you're gonna have to go to make it all legal. Yeah, don't you think?
Probably the compensation.
And sometimes,
Basically a 16-inch thick now.
sometimes in a hide, you'll have a knife mark or whatever, and you just gotta get that out. And like Billy's doing there, he's taking the stretch out of it there on the board over there, on the table. I just cut the bad spot out there, and there's no reason having that in the string. That's the worst thing you do whenever you cut a nice string, to have a weak spot in there, a bad spot in that string. And also, it's a sin, absolute sin, to step on somebody's string when they're cutting string. They need to be hung right then.
Where are you from?
Hold on, Victor, you get that.
Seems like it's pulling awful tough.
It is.
To me,
Just like that.
I like to have this consistent line, so you're not getting.
Just straight. Don't pull it. Don't pull it like a rope. Then it'll just twist like that, and then when you get ready to undo it, it'll just go out. You won't have to get curlicues out.
Okay, so the bevel on your,
Thank you.
on your plane blade is already.
And you can store it and it'll hold itself together as it dries.
And then
Right?
it's easy to
You use that whole fly
temper.
as your gauge. Splitting your rawhide, if you don't pick the spot that you're gonna stay consistent at, your string is not gonna be consistent. So I use the back of my plane blade as my gauge. This is already flat. The way you sharpen a plane blade, it has a bevel on it. So when you're coming through here with your rawhide like that, you gotta keep that string flat. So if you stay up here, this thumb has to keep it on the roller. If it crawls up the roller, you might cut your string. But you want to keep this flat against the back, and that'll give you an exact gauge so that string doesn't vary. So we started out being a 1/16 inch. Okay, so that's exactly 3/64. Exactly 3/64. We got down here, now we're back to 1/16. It's only a 64th of an inch, but I'm not that good a braider, so I got to make sure everything's perfect, because if not, I'm not going to get a nice braid. But yeah, I use this as my gauge, so I'm pulling straight every time. And I don't rely on the strength of my fingers. I always wrap it once, then I keep it down. So see, that thumb keeps that tight on that roller, and that, I didn't keep it quite tight enough, but that, and it got really hard. But I try to use that as a gauge. I might be wrong, but now I'll get my scissors and I'll cut that off and start over. But
Okay. Clint told us if you use a chrome cutter, you're going to end up with a lot of coasters. Another thing I found out is if you take some of these coasters and glue them together till about the thickness of like a sharpening stone on a sharpening mill, so to speak, you glue them together, you put them on that machine, let it turn, take a rasp and hold that rasp so it's perfectly round. All you need to do is put some rouge on it or some other buffing or polishing agent, and it's great to sharpen knives and just hone your knives and stuff. Works awesome. Thank you.
you know, not like a fingernail width bigger. So okay, but then I set my string cutter with that, match that, match that. There you go. You're there. Yeah.
Watch her cut her hand off.
Okay, hold on. Let me help you one more time. I hate doing this, but if you push your.
Is it single edge razor blade or like one of those shaped blades? Little narrow ones that go on these.
Okay.
I've got some right here.
Now you have something to start pulling and get straight. But that is awfully dry here.
These are the newer blades.
I saw these, Woodstock all they had a bunch of them at, I don't even know what booth it was, but I saw them, they had probably 4 or 5 boxes of these.
I don't have just we got there. We're pulling through. Sliding them. Sometimes the whole blade is that way. Sometimes they're just a little place in it.
These old chick ones that were in the dispenser to go into the razor.
This thing
You know, you
hits you.
slid it into the razor and you push the blade.
Okay, tell me again how you did that. I missed it. I'm sorry.
Some of these had the
Chick razor
smaller,
that you slid this in the back.
the circle that comes out of, you got that raised edge there. And this just helped flatten everything. So I went trying to split it and everything, and I was getting too much of an edge, taking the edge off. So that helped flatten that out. Now,
And it
at the
takes a
house,
little bit of a stretch out of it too.
yeah, they take kinks out of it. But there at the house, I'll stick this in the vise, and I'll run that back and forth quite a bit to take those kinks out, so I can run it through my splitter and not lose any. Because you know you can look right there.
Yeah. Yeah, how many thousand times that happens to everybody?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And this just helps lessen.
Takes a
It
chance.
doesn't take all of it out, but it helps. And it just really aggravates me when I do that. I don't want to be aggravated.
Yeah. Yeah, when you need a,
At home, I do it a little different. I put my soga in the vise, and then with my hammer held and with a slot in it, I kind of put it on there and make like at least a half
yeah,
twist, and then I just walk back.
Yeah.
Or you can put that one in the vise and work it through whatever.
Depends upon, like this is pretty heavy, and I'd want to work it in the vise. I want to break it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that'll help break it down. But like Jan, and I'll cut, when I'm cutting string there at the house, I'd cut this in half there at the house. And take my stick and I'd walk backwards. I put it in the vise, I'll walk backwards. And that takes the stretch out, like on button string, that takes all the stretch out and everything. So I don't hang my button string. Very seldom will I hang my button string. I don't do it on purpose. I don't hang it on purpose.
Right.
But by doing this, and this is the fourth or fifth one I've had, and you can see it's been used just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've got I think 3 more there at the house. One was mine and 2 are mine. I'm sorry, 2 are mine and 1 was my daddy's. And his is almost wore all the way through. And that's why that button's on there to keep it good for a little longer.
yeah, and this would be, this tool, if you make one for yourself, or, you know, a novice, really hickory handle's the best, because any other material is gonna wear out a lot faster, is what he's telling me.
This is a piece of hammer
Yeah,
handle.
a hickory hammer handle.
Yeah, an old hammer handle, that's what I use.
Yeah,
And this was brand new when I did it. And I don't know, this thing is probably 10 years old, 8 years old, something like that. And all I do is just my button string. And then my rounds, I hang it, and then I just bring it back in and case it and everything, and then I go ahead and cut it or whatever. But it's already stretched. I've got all the stretch out of it, all I want to get out of it.
yeah.
And whatnot. This tool here is all it is, a hammer handle with a slot cut in it. And then I take sandpaper and smooth everything out before I ever use it and round those edges. And I don't even know what they call it, but it's a tool that's been around forever. And then I just put this in there, and then I'll go like that and just run that right on down through there. And I'll either, like Jan said, I'll either put one end in the vise and work it back and forth. And that also helps on reins. If I'm braiding reins, I'll do that on when I'm braiding for the reins and everything, and that helps break the reins in, so that basically the rein is broke in when somebody first gets it from me. But I don't want a sloppy or floppy rein, but I want a rein that still feels, it's got some feel to it, but on the other hand, I don't want a real stiff board for a set of reins. And whatnot. And I make quite a few reins and whatnot, and it doesn't take any of the strength away from your string, it just kind of breaks it in a little bit and whatnot. End of story. I like to cut my string oversized, and then I'll go ahead and take it down exactly where I want it at, and then I'll go back through my cutter and cut it to the exact width that I want, and that way my string is really consistently exactly like I want it. If that makes any sense to everybody. So I go through my splitter twice. And that may sound like an overkill, but boy, I sure got pretty string whenever I'm done.
So you split it and get it even, then you go cut your strings, and then you come back and split it again.
Yeah, to the depth I want it.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Nick Carter from Casper, and this is Jack Meese from Lander, and we're going to demonstrate this splitter. It's a one-time through. You don't have to pull your rawhide through 3 or 4 times, and we'll demonstrate this. And at the end, well, right now, these are obtainable through Steve Darricott and the Lace Master. And so we'll demonstrate this. So first, when I set mine up, I set the depth on this Osborne 86, and I've got this one set to about 1/16 of an inch. And then I have to adjust this roller to the edge of the blade in here, and have to take this roller here into consideration when I set it up. So I don't want this banging on the roller or against the blade right there. So all this takes is a little bit of pressure on this side. Now let's stop and measure this and see what kind of depth we're getting on it.
Thickness. $65,000.
Yeah, it's 3/64, 1.18 millimeter right here. So we'll see what it is through it as we go. And all you need is a little bit of pressure on this side, a little bit of guiding on the other side.
Now this is drier than you would normally run to a splitter, but this will take it.
This is something that I could just
When it's drier than you would normally run.
the look is just like, are you serious? Like, do you really have to rub it in?
Okay, hold that and we'll check the depth of it, thickness. We got 1.18 millimeter, so that will follow all the way through. So we've only pulled it through 1 time instead of 4 to get our thickness. And that's available from Steve Darricott at Lace Master. And your blade has to be super sharp, and I do that with Darricott's. I think it's called roller sharp. I think that's what he calls it.
Either one of us can crank that. It don't make any difference who cranks it. We can have a 7-year-old kid crank it. It'll work the same. It's just boils down to.
The way I've got it set at my place, it's a one-man operation.
Yeah, and it pays you to work this back and forth across your blade so you dull the whole blade evenly. You don't just leave it in one spot and dull that part of the blade. So that's easy to do. But